All right, everybody. Well, thanks for joining. This is episode number 4 for the You Better Me podcast. This is truly where, I am learning so much about myself and about life through other people. And that's why it's been called You Better Me, because I have guests on and I talk to people about who truly better me. And if you're looking to improve your life, well, we're providing valuable content by interviewing wise and interesting people to help educate, inspire, and uplift any of you out there trying to self-actualize, become your best self, or maybe you don't know who you are or what's going on in life. You're kind of in that rut. We talk to many people who still say these days, I don't even know who I am. And I've got a good friend. His name is Chad Briggs. And Chad, we've known each other for what, 30, wow, 40 years? No,
Yeah,
30,
maybe like
35 years.
35, 37 years.
And I'll tell you a little bit about Chad. So, Chad is one quarter Lakota. So, his heritage is in the Native American. And for those who don't know, Lakota is the official name of the Native Americans who the white man called Sioux for a long time. And as I
Yep.
understand it,
Yep.
Sioux is almost a derogatory term. Is that right, Chad?
Yeah. Yeah. It's not. It is not a very clean way to portray a people.
And so Chad with his Lakota, back when we were, in school, we knew that you had some heritage, but we didn't know anything about it. I got to be honest with you, I didn't know anything about it. Never really saw it come out. And then since then, you've spent like 9 years on the reservations, mainly a couple, or the main one in South Dakota. You were a sun dancer, and if anybody knows about that, and one of these times we'll get into that, but you were a sun dancer for 4 years. Actually
Correct.
participated in 12 years.
Yep.
Um, you've been endowed by elders. And now this is not a light-hearted thing, or this is not something everybody
Correct.
can do, but you've been endowed by elders to be a pipe carrier, to make and play the flute, to make and play the drums, which you do under your own little gig called Thunder Spirit Flutes, Thunder Spirit Drums. Is that right?
Yep.
And you are also endowed by your elders to pour water, which means to hold sweat lodges, which I've been able to attend. It's an amazing thing. Been able to
Yeah.
hear the flutes and drums and really benefit from the natural healing of all of that. So for those who want to know a little bit more about Chad, he also has a company called Red Feather Crystals and Gems. We might be able to get into some of that, but that's online. You can find that on
Book.
Facebook. Okay. And then your passions include, the things that you kind of study on your own, your passions and hobbies, the mathematics of sacred geometry, natural healing, and then
Yep.
quantum physics even, which blows my mind. And many times I love looking into that. So Chad, dude, thanks for being a part of this.
Thanks for having me. It's an
Yeah.
honor.
Well, I'm excited. So, Chad, you and I talk, we get together for whether it be a sweat lodge or every once in a while we get the chance to talk on the phone. We end up talking about some profound stuff, whether it
Yeah.
be
Yeah.
your understanding of sacred geometry, even the quantum physics, but a lot of it has to do with healing and relationships. And Chad, this morning we got catching up before we started this, this call and this recording, and we were talking about how's your relationship going? And it ended up turning more into kind of your own understanding and awareness of what it's taken for you to be a healthy part in this relationship.
Yeah. That was kind of the stage we had reached in our relationship where it was time for two grown adults that had been through some traumas and been down the healing path, and maybe we're in the right spot in their healing, but reached that point where the relationship itself brought out the need for each individual to step up their game. And I don't know that we would have reached that point had it not been for the relationship. So it was just a really beautiful kind of timing with this. But what we did, we reached the point in the relationship that it was time that each of us as individuals address that next layer of healing in order for the relationship to be able to continue. And yeah, that's kind of the stage we have reached and gone through this last 3 and 6 months. I want to reiterate, like, sometimes we feel like as individuals we've reached kind of a precipice or a peak of our healing, and that we're okay. We're like, okay, I can venture back into the relationship world now, when we may be correct, but what that really means is that we are now ready for the next level of healing that's gonna surface because of this relationship. It's like we just graduated college, got our PhD. Now you're going right back into kindergarten. So,
You know, I've heard that the deepest or the strongest relationships will actually cause our traumas to come out. They'll
yeah,
basically trigger
yeah,
us to the point so we have to be forced
yeah,
to deal with them. And I've
yep,
been married twice, and the first time was for 20 years, and I didn't know what traumas were. I didn't know what triggers were. I didn't know what
yep,
I was doing. I thought it was just being a dad and a husband, and wasn't ended up not being a really good husband just because I didn't know myself. I wasn't healed. I still had traumas I didn't even know about. But my second
yeah,
second marriage really brought out kind of the worst in both of us, and it caused us to really have to face some things we didn't
yeah,
want. And
yep,
ending up in a divorce, now it's more of a, holy cow, I have to handle me so I don't mess up another relationship. Because dating or getting to know people or even thinking about maybe being married again, I don't want to carry any of that into my future relationship.
yeah.
So one of the questions I asked you earlier was, what does it take to create this healthy relationship that you have now, to not repeat the bull crap that ruins relationships? You mentioned you had insecurities and traumas that you had to heal. How did you do that?
Well, I think this most recent go around with the lessons, and what kind of surfaced in me and my participation in the dysfunction of my relationship habits was, it once again stem back to those childhood traumas, maybe those, just those childhood experiences, and just how we learn to express and to receive love. And then, so, this go around, I think what I really had to understand was that I had this belief inside me that I wasn't worthy of the type of love that I truly desired. That the love's there today, but it might not be there tomorrow, kind of thing. Or like, there was there was these scenarios I would make up in my mind that would give me an escape out of this relationship or out of this commitment or out of this good thing that's in my life. And that was just kind of maybe a habit I'd gotten into for whatever reasons my whole life. And whether it was conscious or more, it was actually more subconscious. It was just this ingrained thing in me that I wasn't worthy and that I'm an unlovable person. And that, there was legitimate things that happened in my childhood that would cause a person to think that. And then when I get 20 years old, I'm like, I see that and I realize it and I think I fix it, but you really don't. Like, I really didn't. Like, there was still habitual neural pathway thinkings in there that were literally hindering my relationship from me being able to receive the love from this woman who had this pure love that I could trust, and I wasn't able to receive it. And it was all just because I thought I had something in me that I wasn't worthy of it. So it was really, part of me was like, no, I'm a healed person. I'm right where I need to be in my ability to love and receive love. And really I wasn't. And thank goodness I had a partner who's on her game enough to at least call me out on that and be like, no, your behavior is not congruent with a divine relationship. And thank God she was like that. And because, it really forced me to do the work, or just lose the relationship. She just wasn't going to put up with it. So, and it was hard at first, like, we don't want to hear it sometimes, but it was, thank goodness she was, because then I had to like just go within and spend time alone and spend a season with myself and just be like, really reassess that, and sometimes those kind of things take a little bit extra work to get out, because neural pathway habits are hard to break and hard to retrain and stuff. So it took me setting a season aside, spending time alone and going within and seeing a hypnotherapist, seeing a counselor, again, just going back to just to the roots again, and going back to the modalities, that all the little tools that we have at our disposal, and address the thing, and it took me some months to really, get real with myself and realize that like my insecurities are creating the very thing that I'm insecure about. And that's my fault. That ball is in my hands, in my court, and I have complete control over that. I'm the one that dictates how worthy I am. I'm the one that dictates how secure I am, not her, not the relationship, you know. So that was, I think, man, that was just the one thing. So the very key thing in this last season was one layer deeper into self-love and self-respect. And that kind of that self core that I feel within my chest of my being, and like really getting in tune with that in a way that, like, I don't know, it's like you can it's kind of like a bell ringing, you know, like, or it's kind of like a tuning fork. Okay, this core that I have inside me, and I can, like, as we get better at tuning into the resonance of that fork, right? And we get more aware of, wow, this thing is in alignment and this feels good, or this thing is out of alignment and something's not right, you know. So what is it that's not right, and what can I do about it in the moment and today to like bring that back into like a harmonic resonance? And so that's why, you know, things like frequency and resonance matter, because that's the essence of my core and how I can manage it. So man, getting that just to be like, I literally see myself as this tuning fork. Like I get in this posture, in this stance of like my arms are out, kind of like my body is like a, you know, I'm actually this resonating tuning fork. When in balance, meaning I'm managing everything I need to be managing, I'm making decisions that are projecting me toward, you know, the lifestyle I want. And is that resonance and that being in like a harmonic resonance frequency, dude, that makes it so that my life is manageable. My relationship is better. My habits of how I'm handling my job, you know, it's just making sure every day that core is in tune, in harmonic resonance. And what do I have to do to keep it there? And like, I love myself. You have to love yourself. You have to actually put yourself as number one. And it's that can get tricky, because it can that can get into the selfish mode real quick. But it's there's a very unselfish love that comes out as a byproduct of self-love. And when it's a real, true, like, self-love, it doesn't mean that I'm going to do everything it takes for me to get what I want. That's really not what a self-love is. A self-love is everything I do is going to keep my core in harmonic resonance. And the result of that is going to produce the fruit of peace, of prosperity, of unconditional love, of being able to receive and to give love. So I don't know. I think that would kind of sum up this last lesson of how can I show up in this relationship today, you know, and what can I do to best love and to receive love, and man, clean your shit up.
You know, I think you really hit it with that last statement, you know, clean your shit up, because for me in my life, it was just a couple of years ago that I woke up one day and I was like, oh man, everything's not going the way it's supposed to. I was not in resonance. I was not in tune. I was feeling the opposite. I was feeling the dissonance, you know, the feeling, the sense of when our beliefs and my actions and my current reality were not in
Yeah.
attunement. They were not in resonance.
Yep.
And I woke up and I thought, okay, well, what are my priorities? And I haven't really looked at my priorities in a long time, because this was a real shocker to me. I realized that my priorities were messed up. I had been living this life of sex, drugs, rock and roll in my marriage, just living for fun, living for getting high or drinking or partying, going to concerts and trying to make this relationship work that was based on trauma. And my priorities were out of whack. I was in second place because I had put her above me, trying to make sure she's happy, trying to make, and to no fault of hers, I was I was giving her all my attention, and it ruined this relationship because I wasn't priority. I was probably still showing up as some wounded boy in my triggers and holding
Yep.
her as
Yep.
some mother figure
Yep.
that
Yeah.
kept thinking that she had to take care of me or something. And then
Yeah.
my own children, they were too far down on the list. And then I realized I had to reprioritize. You know, I've got to
Yep.
put me first. I've got to take care of my mind, my spirit, my body, my goals. And then it was my boys. And then whatever partner, whatever spouse, girlfriend, whatever, had to be third place. And they're going to have
Yeah.
to understand that. And hopefully
Mhm.
a healthy enough woman will respect that, because they're not going to be first. I'm not going to get involved in this trauma bond type of relationship anymore. And I want to talk to you about this in tune and resonance, because I think there's a lot of people out there you and I still talk to who they don't fully understand, or they're not aware, might be
Yeah,
the
yeah,
key.
yeah,
How would you say you created awareness? Like, how does somebody suddenly
yeah.
just become aware that they're not feeling good, that they're not in
Right,
resonance?
right. Well, let me see if I can answer this. So this, I would say the first kind of, that's almost two-parted question. The first part, like how do I know when I'm not in harmonic resonance, when maybe I'm in a dissonant resonance? I think that for me, the gauge is always, and this is something I do like every morning and every night and throughout the day. But like it's very important for me because sometimes as we go through the day, things will come up that we have to manage, and that's okay. But every morning and every night and during the day, I'm checking in with my core. And when I talk about my core and I'm talking about that harmonic resonance, I'm talking about like in meditation for me, what helped me connect to something that was I could consider a harmonic resonance was it is like a meditation that for me I'm this meditation is a connection to creator. In this meditation of creator connection, it's connecting with that frequency of divinity or creator that brings me into like a okay, this is what harmonic resonance feels like. This is what divinity or sacredness feels like through my connection with source in this meditation. Now, in this feeling that I'm feeling, I can then feel, okay, this is harmony. And now anything that's inside me that I'm feeling that's causing anxiety or pressure, that is dissonance. And when you're in a state of like meditation and source connection, it when you connect with source, then it's that harmony that then reveals the anxieties in me. And then it's that morning and at night I address what's giving me anxiety. It's like, oh man, I like for some reason like I didn't talk to I felt like I didn't, something's giving me anxiety about my children. So I make sure I connect and check on them, or something's giving me anxiety about work. So I change my work habit to make sure I'm meeting my needs there, my demands there. Every morning and every night, just being able to connect with source in meditation in a way that, okay, there's harmony. There's the dissonance. And so that's kind of how, for me, I was able to first kind of recognize the areas of dissonance in me, because when I'm in that state of mind and I can't find the harmony, it was like, well, what's the block here? And the day that really kind of settled into me is that day that me and you, my other buddy, were out cutting firewood, and I got stung 15 times by wasps and had to deal with the repercussions of what that did to my body the following 24 hours. That the pain and the irritation of that really caused me to go into a meditation to deal with it, because it was so itchy and so painful all over my body that I had to like meditate myself out of it. And that's when it was that experience that helped me to learn, oh, okay, like even though my body is in such discomfort, I can find a place within myself connected with source that supersedes the irritation in my physical. And that was kind of a catalyst. It was like, oh man, this source connection meditation like there's something to it, and in a sense, that bee sting experience that has been a kind of utilized, like source connection. Okay, harmony, yes. Okay, dissonance, address it. And it's usually sometimes what it takes to address those dissonances is hard work that's going to take counselors or hypnotists or some modality to deal with. And so that process gets dealt with every day. It doesn't have to get dealt with in one day, or sometimes those things are literally just like, another thing I've learned is this idea of like, well, that's dumb, don't do that. Because before it'd be like, oh man, I have this trauma and I have this thing and it's this darkness and I got to battle it with light, and there's a kind of part of me that's like, well, that's dumb, don't do that. And it takes the war or the battle part out of it. Like, it's just like the effort required with, oh, that's dumb, don't do that. It's so much easier than like, oh, there's this trauma and I'm gonna do all these things. No, dude, it's just dumb. Just don't do that. Now do this. And that's pretty much what healing is. Healing is making a decision to stop thinking about it this way and start thinking about it this way. Like, let my mind take this path of in this direction rather than this direction. That's all it is. That's all it is. Yeah, thanks to the wasps, and thanks to source connection and that harmonious connection that then is in that state able to reveal the dissonant areas inside my core, this little tuning fork inside my chest, bring that into okay, through a meditation connecting with my creator. Boom.
If I'm hearing this right, if you're out there in life and you want to learn how to become more aware, go get stung a lot by bees or wasps, pray, meditate, whatever you do, and you will then live a resonant life.
Yeah, that's one way to go about it. And there's 8 billion people. There's, that's 1 out of 8 billion for sure.
It's funny because I laugh about that situation because I was there. I saw the aftermath of it. I saw you running through, coming down the hill, running through all the huckleberry bushes and whatnot, and you handled it like a champ. But we both have a friend, Casey. One of his famous sayings that echoes through my head is, "We have to go through so much pain to finally change." And man, I hate the sound of that because I was talking to a friend last night and she was saying, well, I don't know who I am, or I don't know what direction to go. I don't have any vision. And you can tell it hurts. And my thought, with some empathy was, oh my goodness, I hope you don't have to go through a lot of pain to finally have to change. And I don't know how else to do it if somebody's out there and they're living a life of the hamster wheel, or they're lost, or maybe they just don't feel good. They don't have this, what you're calling the resonance in your core with this tuning fork feeling. What would you suggest to people? Because you work with a lot of natural healing. You think about the quantum physics. We talk about frequency. We talk about energies. If you had 1 or 2 steps that you could prescribe for someone to try, what would it be to just start feeling better and feeling like you're in more resonance and not dissonance in your
Right.
life?
Well, I mean, the first probably thing I would say about that is I believe we come to this planet kind of for specific reasons and purposes, and maybe kind of specific contracts and missions. And in that, we sign up for what we sign up for. And that being the case, at any given moment and whatever stage I'm at in my life, I'm there because that's where I'm supposed to be. So there's kind of step one. So if I'm in a state of dissonance and I'm lost and nothing makes sense, and like I don't even that's exactly where I need to be in that moment for my life's purpose to unfold and to be fulfilled. So never are we ever not in a place we're not supposed to be. So my point being, when we're in that state, like we could be in the worst states where, like, just know we're right where we're supposed to be, and you're doing exactly what you're supposed to be doing, and you're in your purpose. Okay. And that's okay. But we don't want to remain there. When we do realize, okay, what kind of control do I have over this part of it now? Like, what steps can I take to take control over the direction my purpose has taken me? So I think maybe these step ones is just rest, maybe resting, like relaxing into who I am, relaxing into the fact that, like, I chose a life that was way harder than I think in my rational mind right now that I would ever want to choose. But no, the fact is you chose this, and this is exactly what your soul needs in order for it to make its progression. Embrace that. And for me, it took embrace the fact that, Chad, you're one of those people that came willing to have your life turned upside down more than once so that you can be able to fulfill your purpose and learn what you were supposed to learn in this go around. So accepting and realizing that, that for one, life is going to suck. Life is going to suck. Like, this world sucks. It really does. Like, it throws so many curveballs, and it creates a scenario that we can so easily get caught up in the negativity and not see any good in it. Like, that's the structure of the situation that we have to overcome, that we have to be like, okay, like, if I allow the doom and the gloom of the world to dictate how my day goes, yeah, I'm gonna have a shitty life. But the good news is despite the dysfunction and despite the fuckery, there's an ability within me to make choices and trajectories that will kind of send my life in a way that will allow me to have experiences that actually bring fulfillment amongst this madness and this chaos. And I think the third person perspective, like, of this planet and what we're going through on this planet as human beings, we don't have to go out very far to really see the value of this existence and the pain and the suffering and the love and the beauty that comes with it. And we as humans in it see the beauty and the opportunity that's really there for us to exist in this chaotic world and be able to have the power and the ability to do something that makes it so that that experience of it can become a beautiful thing. And how to do that, steps people can take. If I wasn't able to see that there's this thing inside me that makes me me and special and unique, and I'm an individual that's actually just part of a greater whole. I'm this like fractal representation of source. I'm no more separate from source than you, meaning that we are connected. Like, for me, it was just the realization of like all those things. My own like divinity as an individual, my connection to this web that's hidden but exists and is bigger and greater than anything that I can comprehend. Maybe the destination is your own sacredness, the realization of the sacredness of the soul in every single human, trapped in a crazy body in a crazy world that we're meant to navigate and to overcome.
If I hear this right, the answer that I actually got out of it, and I know you didn't say a couple of these words, but I just wrote these notes that were important to me. If I hear you right, like the first thing you have to do is you have to just rest into that you are exactly where you're supposed to be, because this life, well, and I love the phrase that you said, life is going to suck. Life sucks. We just have to be, resilient through it and have to overcome it. And so being that, you rest into that you're exactly where you're supposed to be. The next step I heard, you didn't say the word, but I threw in here accountability, because for me, when I finally said, listen, I am responsible for where I'm at. I'm accountable for whatever I've done to get me here. And I have to own my life. I have to own tomorrow and my future. And so taking control of, you are where you're at, and then control what you can. And then the last thing I got out of there was see yourself as you, as being unique and connected to the divine all. I know you
Yep.
didn't say those words, but that's what I got out
Yep.
of it.
Yep. Like, and part of that, there was a point in this process when I realized that I was in this boat in this river of life, and I was paddling against the current, trying to control everything, paddling against the current. And when I realized that's what I was doing and stopped doing that and let my boat get turned around by the current and go with the flow of the current instead of against and trying to paddle against it, when I allowed the flow to kind of take over and then set my path according to my purpose and my values. Okay, these are my values and this is my purpose. Now I'm going to steer my boat in that direction in this flow. What I realized was then that's when I could look around myself and see the people that were still flowing in that same direction were still all around me. Like, when I let go of my relationship and went within and did the work, I realized, oh, my partner, she's right there next to me. I don't have to hold on to her boat. I don't have to try to steer her boat or mine. Look, she is right there next to me, and I don't even have to do any control to keep her there. Like, so yeah, the part of it, like, there's the whole quit paddling against the current, trust in the current, find your purpose and your value, and just rest in that and see what happens. See what the universe will unfold in that.
So quit trying to paddle against the current. Quit trying to force and find a way
Yep.
to go with the flow.
Yep. Yep.
Okay, right on. Well, Chad, let's wrap this up, and I want to ask you a question. If you could go back and tell your 19-year-old self one thing, what would it be?
Be you. You are freaking beautiful. Like, be you. Like everything you want to be right now and express that you're holding back, be that. That's what the world needs. Like don't let society and religion tell you that you that wants to be you can't be that thing. Like be you. Yeah. Yeah, that's it right there. Be you, man.
Well, then I got to ask one more question, because I've been talking to a couple people lately, and they don't know who they are, man. They don't know. And I'm like, well, let's talk
Right.
about what are your I ams? What are you doing? What are your goals? What's
Yep.
your vision? What, and they're like, I don't know. I don't have a vision, or I don't know who I am. I don't know. And they don't know how to find their purpose. They don't know how to find their values or vision. So if you
Mm.
had to just make a,
Mm.
a, a
Mm.
suggestion, how does somebody find out who they are?
Look at your scars, because those wounds and those traumas and those scars, when they become healed scars, there's your purpose. There's your gift. There's your offering to the world. And it's the healed scars. That's the thing. It's not your wounds, because your wounds are going to be your hindrance. It's when that wound becomes a scar that's healed over and addressed, there's your gift. That's where the light's going to shine through. That's what people are going to recognize and see and feel and be moved by.
Mm. Dude, that was magic. Like I got all head to toe quickening right there.
And I can attest to that. I am a living example of that.
Well, and if anybody knows anything about sun dancing, I've seen the scars on your chest, and
Yep.
those are healed scars. Well, Chad, dude, I greatly appreciate the time. I always enjoy talking with you, and yeah, I think that there's some real gold shared, man. Some real magical words put to your experience and expressions, and I'm pretty sure there's some people out there who are going to benefit. So, thanks for being with us, dude.
Yeah, thanks for doing this, man. I love what you're up to. I love you, man. Super glad that you're at this stage in your life and doing the work that you're doing. I bless you with that and bless you for that. And thank you, bro. Thank you for having me.
Let's do this again. And thanks everybody for joining in. If you heard something that you love, maybe leave a comment. You can also find Chad. It's Chad Briggs. But how do they find you on social media? Or if they want to talk to you about your heritage, or maybe some of the wisdom that you
Yeah.
shared, or even red feather crystals, or your drums or flutes?
Yep. So like on Facebook, Red Feather Crystals and Gems, Thunder Spirit Drums and Flutes, Chad Briggs with Chad with two D's. There's not too many of those. My email is lakotawarrior@gmail.com. Anybody wants to email me. But yeah, I'd be glad to be available for any information.
Right on. All right, Chad. Thanks again,
Thanks,
everybody.
man.
And thank you, Chad. We'll talk to you soon.
All right. Thanks. Ciao.
Yep. Thank you. Bye.